Okay, so I'm here to give you my WWE NXT year-end awards for 2015. They had just posted them up on the WWE.com website. So I am going to be voted on who I think um, is the wins each category. So I'm gonna find a way how I can vote. So it says, which NXT superstar had the best 2015? What was your favorite NXT match of the year? You will be able to make your voice heard on these topics and more today. WWE COO Triple H announced on Twitter that the NXT Year-End Awards in WWE history, recognizing the best NXT had to offer in 2015, will be presented on January 13th edition of NXT on WWE Network. The NXT universe is now able to cast their votes exclusively on WWE.com. The awards um, are, so it says, overall competitor of the year. So I can vote for that. The options are Finn Balor, Bayley, Kevin Owens, Sasha Banks, Samoa Joe, Charlotte, Sami Zayn, Becky Lynch, Tyler Breeze, and Asuka. So then I click on this, and then it lets me. So then it takes me to this poll that lets me do it. So it's a tough one actually, because you have Bayley, who had a really good story match, who had pretty much, I would say, maybe match of the year for this year against Sasha Banks at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And then she had that great Iron Woman match. And then she had some really good women's matches. And she had some really good storylines and the character. You have Kevin Owens, who was really dominant. He just destroyed Sami Zayn, took the NXT Championship from him. Um, and then he ended up having a solid match with Finn Balor on an NXT, and then he ended up going up on the main roster and defended the NXT Championship up there, and that's kind of when NXT started to become huge. And then at the Beast of the East special, he had a great match with Finn Balor, um, and then he had a great match. He was the NXT champion and beat the United States champion John Cena, which is pretty cool. Hold on. Okay. Um. So then, he Kevin Owens even um had a great ladder match with Finn Balor, his final match off NXT. So that was cool. Finn Balor, and even Kevin Owens' character was cool. He was really solid on the mic. He was probably the number one heel this year on NXT. You got Finn Balor, who was a great baby face, and he had some great moments of great entrances with his face paint on the specials. He ended up coming in. He became the number one. He won the tournament to become number one contender for the NXT Championship, but he came up just a little bit short. He had that great story going in when he finally became number one contender a second time. Beat Kevin Owens to become the NXT champion. Had that great ladder match, and then him and Samoa Joe won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, and then had a great match with Samoa Joe. So Finn Balor's an option. Sasha Banks, great performer all around, great character. Had great matches with that Fatal 4-Way when she won the NXT Women's title from Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Bayley. And then eventually she went on to have great match after great match against Alexa Bliss. And then Charlotte again. And then she had a great one, a great feud with Becky Lynch. And then she ended up taking the NXT Women's title up to the main roster and had great matches and is now a part of Team Bad. And then had that, like I talked about, match of the year, and then that Iron Woman match had that stuff. Charlotte, I would say, wouldn't really be NXT Woman of the Year or Performer of the Year. I just don't really think so. Then you got Sami Zayn. I can't really say that either because he's been inactive most this year, but he did do some good things, like he was the NXT champion, and he ended up going on Monday Night Raw and having that great U.S. Championship match with John Cena in his hometown, so that was really cool. And you have Samoa Joe, who came up, who made his WWE debut, having that face-off with Kevin Owens, and he just teared through everybody on NXT, whether it was Baron Corbin, Tyler Breeze, he just has teared through everybody, and then his heel turn. Tyler Breeze has had great caliber matches against Jushin Thunder Liger, Apollo Crews, and Hideo Itami. So but I just don't think he's in that caliber just because he hasn't really been on the winning side of things lately. Then you have Asuka, who when she came in has had great matches. She's been a tale too. She's been a force to be reckoned with, and then that great match she had with Emma just recently. But it's still too early for her to win that. So if I had to pick for competitor of the year in 2015, I'm gonna go with Finn Balor. I think he's been great on NXT. He's had great matches, and I think he's been really consistent. Actually, I'm gonna change. I'm going with Kevin Owens actually, just because of what I talked about. He was a great heel on NXT, so I'm gonna go with Kevin Owens. But Finn Balor's a close second. If he won, I wouldn't complain. So let me submit my votes. So it says thanks for voting. So then it says thank you for voting. Find out who came up on the top when the NXT Year-End Awards winners are revealed on the January 13th edition of WWE NXT, available only on WWE Network. I actually like that they're doing that because they're giving people an advanced time notice to vote. So what's the next poll? So now we have who was NXT's male competitor of the year in 2015? I'm going with Kevin Owens on this one. It's all the same, but all the categories are Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, and Tyler Breeze. So I'm going with Kevin Owens. And it's just the same thing. It's all the same reasons too. Then we got the female competitor. We have Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Asuka. All the same reasons. I'm going to go with Sasha Banks for the reasons I gave. And then we have, what was the best WWE NXT TakeOver of 2015? We have TakeOver Rival, TakeOver Brooklyn, TakeOver Respect, and TakeOver London. Now, this is a tough one, actually. Because TakeOver Rival had a really good card on it. We had Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor in the finals of the tournament. We had Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze in the opener. We had the main event with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the NXT title, and the NXT Women's title Fatal 4 match with Charlotte, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. So actually, that is a possibility. However, I don't think it's as good as the others. And there is a dud on the show. That NXT Tag Team title match with the Lucha Dragons versus Blake and Murphy was a dud. So, and that no DQ match with so the matches. There was a couple of dud matches, which isn't a bad thing, but I just think that it's not as good as the other shows. But it is a great show, though. And then you have NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. It has, is that what? That great opening match where Juice and Thunder Liger finally came to WWE against Tyler Breeze. It has that great tag team match with the Vaudevillains versus Blake and Murphy for the NXT Tag Team titles. It has the that match of the year caliber with Bayley versus Sasha Banks, and it also has the main event with ladder match with Finn Balor and Kevin Owens, and it's not just that, but it sold out really well. That was really NXT when it became really huge. It looked like a mainstream WWE pay-per-view, so I actually would give it that. Then you got the TakeOver Respect, which I actually did thought that show was great. You had the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, with the semifinals being Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus the Mechanics, and then the other one with Baron Corbin and Rhino versus Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. And then eventually the finals was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus Rhino and Baron Corbin. And then you have Asuka's debut, which he just tore right through Dana Brooke. And then that main event, 30-minute women's match between Sasha Banks and Bayley. Then you got TakeOver London. I'm not going to say that one because I do think it's it's not like the greatest show. I think it's not as great as those other ones. So I'm actually going to go with TakeOver Brooklyn. That's my favorite pay-per-view of wrestling this year anyways. And then that's it. I thought there was more I could do. So now I can vote for Tag Team of the Year. Because that's one I didn't even get to vote for. What was the NXT's Tag Team of the Year in 2015? The options are Blake and Murphy, the Vaudevillains, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, Dawson Dawson, and the Lucha Dragons. Blake and Murphy were tag team champions. I just don't think they were all that great of a tag team. They were just not the greatest. They pretty much went from being jobbers to 2 weeks later being NXT tag team champions. I don't really agree with that. Then you got the Vaudevillains who came back and ended up being NXT tag team champions. But then lost them 2 weeks later. And then you have Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, who's really over with the crowd, who've come really close to becoming tag team champions. Then you have the Mechanics, who have looked really strong, taking out Enzo and Cass, made it to the semifinals in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, and all the current NXT Tag Team Champions. As I know, I'm not up to date with NXT. I'm like a couple of weeks behind. And then you have the Lucha Dragons. I can't really give it to the Lucha Dragons because they were only on NXT for like the beginning of the year. So I'm actually going to give it to Enzo and Cass. My opinion, I don't even think any of them are on this poll. I think the tag team of the year should be Jason Jordan and Chad Gable because they really got over with the crowd. So that's who I think the NXT tag team of the year should be. And then I already did the other stuff, so let me go back. Okay. So we got match of the year. I think you know what I'm going to vote for this, but let's talk about it. So we got the NXT match of the year. There's a lot of options. That NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match and NXT TakeOver Rival with Sasha Banks, which I talked about before. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks. We got the NXT Championship match between Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor at the Beast in the East live from Tokyo. The NXT Women's Championship match between Sasha Banks and Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. We got the NXT Championship match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at NXT TakeOver Rival. We got the NXT Women's Championship match between Bayley and Sasha Banks in a 30-minute WWE Iron Man match at NXT TakeOver Respect. We got the NXT Championship match between Finn Balor and Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver London. The NXT Women's Championship match between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. We get the number one contenders tournament finals match between Finn Balor and Adrian Neville at NXT TakeOver Rival. The NXT Women's Championship match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte on the July 15th, 2015 edition of NXT, and the NXT Championship match between Kevin Owens and Finn Balor on the March 25th, 2015 edition of WWE NXT. I've already made up my mind. It's the Sasha Banks versus Bayley match. There was a lot of other good matches, but just the story and the match was really good in the match. So, yeah. I thought the match itself was good and the storyline was good. So, that's the one I'm going with. I think I did all of them. Yeah, so it says, post the inaugural NXT UN Awards and are now open, and these will close on January 6th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't miss the chance to help your favorite NXT superstars win these prestigious honors. I'm actually kind of looking forward to these because this is the first time they've done something like this. So I don't know how this is going to work, if it's going to be like the WWE, but I feel like since it's NXT that they actually will know how to set this up. And at least there's not too many awards. Like, they don't have like stupid ones like, you know, like the Yellow Elmo, one of the year and all that stuff. So can't wait to see what they do with this. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure to subscribe, all the stuff down below, and I'll make a video at some other point this week.